Hello and welcome to another episode of Hollie's Hotspurs Live. I mean, I'd like to say I'm recovering from last night, but I don't think I am really. I think it's a running theme at the moment. But with me tonight to try and dissect exactly what went wrong against Everton, I have a stacked guest list of panellists with me tonight. And it's a brand new one as well because we have two Tottenham fans and two Everton fans. So it'll be quite interesting to get both takes on both our teams. So from the Tottenham side tonight, I have Brian from Tottenham Away. Brian, how are you doing on this fine Saturday evening?
Well, it's Saturday afternoon for me here in Toronto, and everything is absolutely lovely until we dive into about what we're about to talk about. I actually think the Everton fans should be on the top and we should be on the bottom because we are that bad at the moment. So yeah, this will be fun. This will be much fun.
Yeah, I think hopefully it'll be therapeutic, but a bit like KC is. He's still a bit annoyed about yesterday. We all are in the same boat, KC. It's all Gucci. And with me on the Everton side, first off, I have Rose, otherwise known as EvertonRose. How are you today, Rose?
I'm okay. I've been enjoying the weather, but in terms of the football, I'm pretty disappointed as well. So I'm looking forward to getting into this one.
I know, it's just depression season supporting both our clubs this season, I feel. And also with us, we have Mike from the Blue Boys Network. Mike, how are you today?
I'm as devastated as I was yesterday. Like, it just destroys your entire weekend, doesn't it? So, yeah, it was a rough one last night.
It was indeed. Like I said, I was lucky enough to be drinking in the Yagon bar, and I think I was lucky enough to be doing that because, like I said, I'm just numb from everything now, body parts and brain and mind, to be honest. So let's kick off. So obviously, it was kick-off, so to speak. And obviously, from a Tottenham's perspective and from Everton's perspective, we got the team line up. Now, Brian, I'll come to you first. This happens every time I see one name on the team sheet, and that is Dyer. Brian, what's your take on playing that back three against Everton yesterday?
Do you know, honestly, I say it on my channel, literally, the last few games have been jumpers for goalposts, just run about and do stuff and play where you want and do what you want. Especially when you see Eric Dyer playing as a striker for most of the second half for no reason whatsoever. The back three doesn't make sense. They didn't have Calvert-Lewin playing. They didn't have a real striker playing. Richarlison does, and he can be a threat, but he keeps going out to help Luca Dina, and he plays a bit on the left. So why we've got three centre-backs when there's not really a striker blows my mind. And the fact that we have three midfielders, but there were still gaps in the centre that were bigger than the Grand Canyon. Nothing, like I've said before, nothing about Tottenham right now makes sense to me. And every single week is a different formation. How do you get the best out of a team when every week it's something different? It's ridiculous, as is our club at the moment.
I preach it 100%. Now, we've been here all season and we've seen a chop and change at the back. And like you said, no one's ever going to be able to adapt to that if it's changed each week. And I just don't understand. And the real passion Jose Mourinho has for Dyer just blows my mind. We've seen him cost us so many points. And I don't know if you agree with me, Brian. At the start of the season, he was all right. And then he fell off a cliff. And I don't know why Jose is still pushing for him to play. What's your take on Dyer, obviously?
So I even said after we beat Arsenal 2-0 that Eric Dyer was a monster. He was incredible. He really, really was. But the thing is, his concentration is not very good at all. And the one thing I hate about it with Jose and Dyer's relationship is there's no accountability. What he does is he plays him because he loves him. And then as soon as he makes a couple of mistakes, he doesn't do like what he does with Dele Alli and come out and give him accountability and slate him and throw him under the bus. He's like, just go sit on the naughty step for a while, wait for this to blow down, and then I'll bring you back randomly for no reason whatsoever. We have had this situation with Dyer through two managers now, Poch and Jose right now, and our supreme leader, who is at every game, wears his glasses, they're monitoring. He can't even see it. This buffoon can't even see it. So every Spurs fan can feel it. Every Spurs fan knows it, but Jose in his ego has to play him. God knows why.
I totally get that. I don't know where he's, like you said, I don't know why he's got this enthusiasm for him because he costs us all the time. Now, obviously, with Spurs, we've got this caption we like to use as individual errors. Now, Rose, last night, I think your back four obviously had a lot of individual errors, which I think kind of costed you. So what did you kind of make on your back system last night?
Horrific. No, they were. I always back them. I always, I'm trying to persist with Mason Holgate. He'll come good. Like I'm really trying. And Michael Keane's had a really good season, to be fair to him. But yesterday, I don't know what they were doing. You've got Holgate diving down for the first one, trying to head it out like that, and then it bounced off Michael Keane. I'm just so disappointed with that, because what must Ancelotti be thinking? Like, he's coached some of the best defenders in the world at a time, and then to see that, and apparently there are rumours as well that we're going to get rid of Yerry Mina, who's another one of our centre backs. I don't want us to do that. If we do that, then we have to get a world-class centre back in. I think it cost us 2 points yesterday, and we're an injury-hit team. Our squad isn't good enough. We know that. But the defending yesterday, I mean, I don't even want to insult Sunday League footballers. I think that is how bad that we're looking at what Holgate and Keane were doing there. It was. I don't like slating the players. I really don't. But it was just a nightmare. I think they were just panicking when they saw Kane near them. Maybe they were just, terrified, so they didn't know what to do. I'm interested to hear Mike's thoughts on that one.
Go on, go away, Mike. Go on, you tell us what you make of that back partnership.
Can I swear on your channel?
Go for it, mate.
They were fucking horrific. It was one of the worst centre back pairing partnerships as a unit I've seen in a blue shirt. They were horrendous. They couldn't read each other's games. Keane would step over to Holgate when Holgate would mark his man. Holgate would do the same with Keane. Neither of them knew exactly what either one of them was doing. And as a result of that, the centre-back pairing last night was a car crash. Every single time the ball would go near them, I'd worry. And Rose and a lot of Everton fans, and rightly so, Michael Keane has had I'm going to say an okay season. I'm not going to say a good season, because he was at fault for the Brighton goal. He was at fault for the Fulham goal earlier in the season. He's making these individual mistakes. We already know Mason Holgate makes these individual mistakes. We already know it. We've seen it all season. For me, I don't understand how Yerry Mina is being linked with a move away over them two. I don't get it. Yerry Mina, in my opinion, is our second best centre back, most improved player in this Everton team this season, in my humble opinion. And I don't get it. I just don't get it.
Can I mention something about the Everton defence? Just very quick. I just want to say, Rose,
I need to go to my door. 1 second.
You said, Rose, it's actually what you were talking about getting a world-class centre-back in. I actually think potentially you already have one at your club, and he's playing at right back now, and I wish we had got him, which is Godfrey.
Yeah.
He is, honestly, I think he is centre-back for Norwich. We were after him, but obviously, again, all hail supreme leader with his transfer negotiations, and you went and got him. And honestly, his pace, his power, and if he's displaying like he is at right back right now, he's going to be incredible at centre back.
Yeah, no, he's probably one of our. I'd probably even say one of our best signings, because obviously when you sign James Rodriguez, you can't say that Ben Godfrey is the best one, but for expectations based on what he's doing, I think he's a great player and one to look out for in the future in terms of England as well.
Yep.
I think I agree with Mike entirely. We try to back the players, but last night you just can't defend that. It was just so bad. So yeah.
And it is really interesting the fact that you said that obviously you need a world-class centre-back to come in to transform your defence. And I sadly think, like I keep saying, I feel like, as bad as it sounds, I feel like Everton are the northern equivalent of Tottenham. That's like my famous saying, because there's so many different parallels between the both of us. Like you said yesterday on your channel, Rose, about that we've got red, lousy, noisy neighbours next door. We haven't got the silverware as those noisy neighbours. It's the same sort of parallel in that kind of sense. So going forward, obviously we've touched on the goals and we spoke about your defence, and I just want to turn the corner slightly and talk about our defence, because obviously there was that penalty that happened. Now I want to kind of get all of your guys' takes on it. Now VAR for me is causing more talking points than good for all the bad reasons.
Correct.
So, Brian, I'll come to you first. Obviously, what do you kind of take on that penalty for being given? Do you think it's soft, or do you think in the way of football's going at the moment, there's contact, it's a penalty?
The way the rules are now, it's a penalty all day long. Whether you want to be with your Tottenham hat on and go, oh, the guy dived, the guy did this, the guy. If you want to look at a dive, watch it about 20 minutes earlier when Ndombele gets tapped here and falls on the floor like he's been absolutely smacked with a baseball bat. No one talks about that. It's a penalty, and Reguilon, I have no idea what he's doing there in the centre of the pitch. You're a left wing back. You're meant to be full bombing forward. Why you're in the D just outside or inside the area? But I think it was Rodriguez that went down, wasn't it? Or was it whoever it was that went down? It was Rodriguez. Okay, this guy is a sensational player. Sensational. And it raised a lot of eyebrows when Everton could attract him, and obviously Ancelotti can get that kind of player. He knows what he's doing. He knows without doubt that the player's behind him. And do you know what? He played the game. And it's a penalty, regardless, in my eyes. Not even the soft one. It's a penalty in the way of the law today.
So I think that's a good point. Like, we spoke about the one that happened a few weeks ago, and it was the same kind of vibe in the sense that sadly in the laws of the game now, it's a penalty. So Rose, I come to you. Obviously, the man that stepped up and scored that goal was Sigsy, and that kind of broke my heart a little bit. So obviously he was the man that obviously scored the second goal as well. And we'll get into Tottenham's defence again in a minute. But how are you feeling about Sigurdsson this season? What's your kind of take on him? Has he been doing well? Is he not? Is he here and there, hit and miss?
Hit and miss, yeah. Squad player for me. Like I think that's the most frustrating thing about Sigurdsson is that he can play like he played yesterday in that second goal, but then for the 3-4 games before that, he hasn't really done anything. So it's really frustrating. He hasn't been the worst. Like I mean, if you look at likes of Iwobi and Bernard, who've just been completely anonymous this season, so he's not the worst. But for the price tag that we paid, I was expecting more from him. But yesterday, I have to say, probably one of his best performances this season. His link-up play with James going forward was something that was really good that I hope that we take into the Arsenal game. And yeah, like I think it splits fans whether we should offer him a new contract. For me, like you can't get rid of everybody in one window. So I would maybe offer him no more than a 2-year. Like I think he's going into his last year now. Give him a couple of years. Squad player. I'd be looking to bring somebody in his position because James won't play every game in the season. Sigurdsson's getting on now. But yeah, one of his better performances yesterday.
It had to be against Tottenham, didn't it? It just had to be. It was written in the stars.
He does. He loves playing against you, yeah.
It's a vibe. I just want to go back to the penalty quick to you, Mike. Obviously, we've got Stefan in the chat who is an Everton fan, and he's saying it was never a penalty. Can you kind of see that kind of take on it, or do you believe with Brian?
I didn't think it was a penalty. I thought it was at the start. I thought it was when it initially happened. I thought, oh yeah, he's caught him, he's gone down. But I think the more you look at it, he's already falling before he gets caught. He looks like he's tripping over before he gets caught. So for me, yeah, it's not a penalty. But there's been some ridiculous decisions with VAR. I think the biggest highlight out of it is actually how bad VAR is because, you know, there was a few moments in the game where you could say, oh, it was a foul or it wasn't a foul or, you know, we've seen it week in, week out now where VAR make these mistakes. Now, look, obviously for Everton last night, it was a little bit of a gift, I would say, and we did get the penalty, but it's a difficult one. Nobody really knows anymore. That's the problem. Like, we all sit here and VAR was meant to eliminate, in my opinion. It was meant to be factual. That is a penalty. That is not a penalty. That is offside. That is not offside. What it's actually done is caused a whole heap of issues with offsides, with penalties, with fouls in general. It's a shambles. So, no, for me, I thought it was soft, but I only thought it was soft after the initial decision was given because originally I did think it was a penalty.
I like that you said that, Mike, because like we've kind of alluded to, the fact that VAR is causing more problems than good at the moment. We shouldn't be having this discussion after a game saying, was it a penalty, was it not a penalty? It should be clear, black and white, saying, well, it's a penalty, it's not a penalty.
It's the worst thing that's happened in English football, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree.
What are you going to say?
I think it's
Rose?
the officials as well. Like, like some of the offsides, like what the lines that they're drawing, and I'm just looking at it like that's not what this is for, is it? Like, you know, his arms offside or his hair is, you know, just like, yeah. It's the thing is, I mean, if there were fans there, like, you know, in many ways, a lot of us now just have to watch it on TV. But if you can imagine, if there's 40, 50,000 fans and you're taking 5 minutes to decide on, you know, this like narrow margin, I think it could actually get quite ugly in terms of, you know, the referees and that.
The worst one from an Everton perspective was last season at Man United. It was the last game at Goodison, and a goal was disallowed in the very last minute, which would have meant Everton beat Man United. It was given for the most ridiculous reason I've ever seen, a VAR. And ever since that moment, I've just thought, I'm done with this. And this season, it's managed to get worse. I mean, it's honestly, it's horrendous.
And it's a good thing. Which where is it? Cody's written here about the standard of officiating in the Premier League. You think this is one of the best leagues in the world, and the standard of reffing is so poor in my eyes.
The cowards. The people on the actual pitch now, in my opinion, are either too scared to give a decision, so it goes to VAR, where they don't look like complete muppets, and then a decision is interpreted, slowed down to the nth degree. Lines are drawn on people's armpits and all sorts of parts of their bodies, comparing against little toes and stud marks on grass in boots. It's honest to God. I sit there. The officiating in the Championship and in League One and in League Two is much better than the Premier League, because these people won't bottle a decision.
It's a very true point, and I feel like with refs they kind of back each other, because that's just the kind of the way it is. So, with that being said, obviously I want to move away from the penalty decision and to talk about one thing I know for sure, and that is that Harry Kane is a king, and sadly a king I don't feel is going to win silverware. I mean, we've got City coming up. I still don't feel confident about that. So, Brian, what do you make of Harry Kane's, work again against Everton?
All hail Harry Kane. All hail the greatest striker right now on the planet. Without fail, hands down. He may not get the 50 goals that Messi does or whatever, but his passing, his defending, his everything, his commitment. He is the model professional. You never see any problems with him. He's always there, and it just goes to show. All right, he got the assist from the two Everton players, but he had to be sharp and alert to get that. His first touch for the first goal was stunning, but do you know what it is? It's the second goal for me. The second goal, where it just came to him. He didn't even move. He just let that ball bounce, smash Pickford, try and get that. He is ruthless. He is outstanding. And unfortunately, he ain't staying at Tottenham. And you know what? Every single Tottenham fan, don't blame him. That's how bad it's got. This guy needs to win medals. This guy deserves to win medals. Not just golden boots. He needs personal accolades. He needs team accolades, which he is destined for. And I just can't see it happening here. I was even saying that when he went off, there are people saying, do you know what? That could have been Harry Kane's last time in a Spurs shirt. And even that, and if you look at it, basically we had 2 shots, 2 goals yesterday. And if that hadn't have fallen to Harry Kane, it would have been 2 shots, no goals. That's how clinical he is. And we've got to brace ourselves for the worst. We have to for the rest of this season. And I don't even know where we go without him. I don't know. I really don't.
I saw a crazy stat. I don't know how much truth it is because it's on Twitter, but apparently if we exclude all of Harry Kane's goals, we'd be sitting 17th right now. That's how depressing life is.
Well, do you know, is that including all his goals or including all of his assists as well? Because then if you include his assists, we're probably relegated.
The stat is, if you take his goals out, you're 17th, and if you take his assists out, you're 19th or something like that. And I don't mean to like, for me, and sorry to butt in on the Spurs element, but for me, Harry Kane is. I really fear for Spurs next season. I highlighted it back in, I think it was December when we played you. Was it January or February when we played you at Goodison? I highlighted it to Tobes, an Arsenal fan. He was very. very putting Everton down. He did it in the preview for this one. He said that the Spurs side is better than the Everton side, which I disagree with massively. But Harry Kane is the player that stands both teams completely apart, if you get what I mean.
With everyone.
Son hasn't done it since February. And if you take Kane out of the equation next season, what happened to Spurs next season?
See, it's a good question, but I feel like we need to implode in ourselves for the board to even. I know Brian's itching to talk about it, but I feel like something drastically needs to happen for the board to wake up, because they're just riding this wave. I want to get your take, Rose, on Harry Kane quick, and then I'll come back to Brian on the board, because we just touched on it slightly. I just want to say, Cody Mack, I am struggling a bit with my hangover, but we move. So Rose, what's your take on Harry Kane?
Yeah, I think he's a world-class player. Like, he showed that yesterday, and like for however many seasons now, 4 or 5 seasons, and it's a real shame that he has no trophies. But didn't he sign like a 6-year deal a couple of years ago?
Yep.
Is that okay? So he's got like 4 years left in his contract. So I do think, like Brian said, prepare for the worst. But the fee you're going to be asking for if he goes, and I know when you sold Bale, the money was, invested really poorly. But if you, aren't we looking at like 150 million? Like, if you sell Harry Kane, it's going to be like 100 to 150, surely. He's got 4 years left in his contract. He's in his prime now. I am worried for you. I mean, like, who do you get? I don't know. Do you think, though, I'll ask you a question. Do you think if Kane goes, that Son goes as well? Do you think that he'd see that as a sign of, okay, I need to get out as well at this point? Or do you think he'd stay?
I think I'm more, as bad as it sounds, I think I'm more concerned if Son goes, because I feel like you need to look at Kane and what he wants. I know we all want him to get a trophy, but if he's settled with his family in Tottenham, if he just wants to get those accolades, and I know Alan Shearer left and then came back, but if he wants to chase all the boots at Tottenham and that's what he's happy with, so be it. I mean, me as a footballer, I wouldn't want that. I want to win trophies for my team. But if Sonny leaves, I could see it happening, because Kane has that connection with the club, whereas Sonny, I feel like, although he looks very happy playing for Spurs, I could see him leaving, which then will cause a major hole for Enick, because obviously the revenue he makes in Korea and stuff. So, but it's a good point, because if Sonny leaves and then Kane's thinking, oh, actually, no, maybe that is a good time for me to get out if you're getting out too. It's a good question.
Can I just add to that as well? Sorry. If you think about it, obviously, I think it would be fair to say that the 4 of us probably don't expect Mourinho to be the Spurs manager next season. So you're talking about giving the money potentially to a person who will have fresh ideas, which could be a positive, but it could also be a negative, because they won't necessarily know the dynamic of Spurs, because they haven't managed it for long enough, if you get what I mean. Now, if Mourinho is in charge, then you also have a problem. Do you trust Mourinho with £200 million, bearing in mind what he did at Man United and getting him to replace these players, when a lot of people now think he's past it?
See, the other way you could kind of put a spin on it is, does Harry Kane want to sit for another rebuild?
Exactly.
I feel like Jose, I think, was the last roll of the dice, and he hasn't managed to deliver. And again, like, we'll go to Brian on the board, because I feel like for the board, it was the cheaper option to invest in Jose Mourinho rather than investing in the whole squad. Go on, Brian, let loose.
Here we go. Here we go. Okie dokie. So first of all, if Son goes, we are absolutely screwed. It doesn't matter if Kane stays or whatever, because the amount of money, this contract that was meant to be signed in October, and then we keep hearing it's going to be signed soon, it's going to be signed soon. The money Kane brings in from the Far East will pay. Son brings in from the Far East will pay for Son's contract. Anything we want to give Kane. Like, if Harry Kane turned right now and said, right, I want 500 grand a week, and I want the team to come out of White Hart Lane to Mr. Blobby or Barbie Girl, I'd say, yep, okay, sign it. Yep, stay. Whatever that man wants, give him. But also, what you got to remember, if we sell them, it's not like when, and I hate to say Liverpool were, but Liverpool's the easiest example to give, when they sell their best player in Coutinho and go, here we go, we need a goalkeeper, we need a defender, let's go break the world record and buy the best two. That's not happening. That is not happening. Spurs fans, you can't replace Kane anyway. It doesn't matter what you do, you can't replace him. And it doesn't mean anything to our board. Our board, honestly, I admire Everton. Honestly, even during the dark days with Bill Kenwright, the one bit thing Bill Kenwright used to be, he is Everton till you die. And he wears his heart on his sleeve. He communicates with fans. He communicated with the people. And he didn't talk absolute nonsense. Well, our chairman, our owner, our board have verbal diarrhea every single... If they told me tomorrow is Sunday, I wouldn't believe them. That's how shit our board are, and they are making a mockery. They are making a mockery of this club. I'm telling you now, I've got a bet with Ben from We Are Tottenham TV. He thinks if we sell Kane, we're getting Danny Ings. All right, don't be silly. That's way too classy for them. We're getting someone like Callum Wilson. We're getting someone like Callum Wilson who's injured half the season because it's the cheap option. And when it comes to the Bow money, what you got to understand. Oh, breathe. Okay, with the Bow. So with the Bow money, those 7 players that we signed, AVB wanted 2. He wanted Ericsson, and I think the other one he wanted, I can't remember. The other 5, he didn't want. He did not want at all. And it's apparently the reason Poch didn't buy players is Levy offered them, but he didn't want them, so he didn't buy them. Well, how comes AVB didn't want these players, but you do go and buy them? So like I said, this guy is just a moron. He's at every game. He never says anything. What kind of idiot? He could have turned me around and made me a hero. He could have turned me from the way I am with him to a hero. When we moved to Wembley, he said that there will be 1 year till we move it back home. 1 year we're going to Wembley. Now, I live in Canada now, so I was in England at the time. Who in the right mind believes that a building that size in England and in London will be built in a year? No one. So why don't you say it's going to be 2 years? And if it was built in a year, oh my God, Daniel Levy's a magician. No. But then what we do is when we find out that it's not happening, we apologise to the NFL before we apologise to the fans. And all the Spurs season ticket holders watching now will know that he offered a refund for the Liverpool game that was meant to be the first game at White Hart Lane, but then increased the price for the game at at Wembley. So these are the kind of things. And the worst thing, Marcelo showed me something yesterday. In the Spurs shop right now, you can buy a Carabao Cup finalist mug, pen, and flag.
No, I saw that. Yeah.
This is what we've become. We are a shambles. And for this guy that's meant to be a fantastic businessman, where he's grown us on the stadium and all that, he's brilliant. But for a guy that's meant to be a great businessman, we should have had in this team right now Jack Grealish, Skriniar, possibly Ruben Diaz, Bruno Fernandes, and Pablo Dybala. There we go. Thank you, Cody. But he's haggled over 5-10 million. I mean, you went and spent 50 million for Sigurdsson.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I love Gylfi. I absolutely love him, and we should have made more of him at Tottenham. But with Sigurdsson, he is a very specific player that can only play in a very specific position, as you saw with Swansea. They built the team around him because they knew he was the real deal. So you went and spent, Swansea go and say 50 million. You pay it. All right, it may not have worked out. I don't believe he's that much. But if that's the player the manager wanted, and that was a huge transfer, look at James Rodriguez. If you didn't have Ancelotti, there's no way Rodriguez would have come to Everton. It was an Ancelotti link, and they backed the manager and brought the players. Alan, these players, regardless, I mean, maybe if Ancelotti had them for a couple of years, or you had a great manager that started building Everton up to the team you used to be, I understand that. But out of nowhere to attract these players. Now, Jose could have attracted some great players, but we don't get backed. What's the point of Jose Mourinho? This is okay. My final thing before I have a meltdown. Daniel Levy gives it the big un about how he wanted Jose Mourinho for 20 years. How I've wanted him. This is the manager to take Tottenham. So he has learned in 20 years that what Jose Mourinho does is comes to a club, spends millions, and I mean hundreds of millions, wins trophies, then absolutely rips the side apart and goes. So Daniel Levy brings him in with, you're not going to have any money. You can't buy anyone. You need to win trophies or top four or you're done. Who scouts a manager and then gives him nothing? And done.
Brian, I think you should write a book on it, to be fair.
Oh, trust me, I'm going to do more than a book.
So that was just your little lowdown on what Brian thinks of Ennick. And to be fair to him, I have the same vibe. I'm just fed up of talking about them, to be honest. That's why I left it to Brian. And Sue has done me a dirty there, glossing over them. Look, I tried to get over that Dulux Doug and that announcement, and you brought it all back to me, Sue. Can you not, please? But we've got a question here, which is quite a good one. So I'll come to you first, Rose. Obviously, we've spoken a little bit about obviously our board and things. And I kind of want to get your take because obviously, what do you think of our transfers compared to your transfers? How can I word this? Obviously, we know our thoughts and feelings on the players we brought in. What's your kind of take? Do you think we did better in the window or do you think you've massively outdone us?
I think on surface level, I think we outdid you. I mean, to bring James Rodriguez, we mentioned the player earlier, Ben Godfrey at the back. He's a player with a real future. Like, he just has everything in his game, so versatile, and I wasn't expecting it. Like, I liked him at Norwich. I thought he was okay, but like the level that he's playing at with us now is completely different. I think Doucouré as well. He's been, an engine in our midfield, and lucky that he's injured now, until the end of the season, pretty much. And Alan, two of those players only came, like Brian said, because of Ancelotti, Alan and James. But Doucouré is a player that I've liked for a long time at Watford, and even in their relegation season, I think he shone. This transfer window I've been happy with. I think if you go back a couple, I've not been so happy. But since Ancelotti's come in, I think we've done okay. In terms of you guys, Højbjerg, I know that he pretty much had a choice between Spurs and Everton and he chose you guys. I think he started off well, but is it fair to say that he's dropped off now just because the whole team has not been playing so well?
Yesterday was his 53rd game, Rose. His 53rd game of the season, and for a majority, he plays 90 minutes. He is a machine.
In that case, he's doing great.
To me, he is the signing of the entire transfer window for the whole Premier League. The greatest, honestly, and 53 games, 90 minutes for about above 90% of them. And now you're doing the work for 3 or 4 players because we're crap. He's incredible.
But Doherty, for me, I thought would be a really good signing for you. At Wolves, I thought it was great, but then some players just need to play at those clubs. So I think that one hasn't really worked out. Mourinho clearly doesn't like him. He plays Aurier, then he plays him, and then I don't really know what your setup is, and I feel like the players haven't really been brought in to fit the system. And I'd say for Everton, I think Ancelotti and Brands, they have said this is how we're going to play most of the time. So
with that being said, Mike, obviously we've touched on a few players we signed. Do you think it was mainly the pull of Ancelotti that made those players come to Everton?
And I'm just going to quickly answer just the comment, the question as well, just on that one, Rose. It's very quick. The facts are, where were Spurs last season? Where did they finish?
6th.
It's a good question.
Right. Everton finished, I think it was 12th or 13th, weren't it, Rose, if I'm not mistaken? I think it was 12th. I think we finished 12th behind Southampton. That's where you can see where the transfer windows. Everton have progressed. They could even have done better if they weren't so shit at home. Whereas Spurs have come backwards. So that's why I think Everton definitely had a better transfer window. And to answer that question, Rose, Carlo Ancelotti pulled in these players. This is what Everton needed to do 5 years ago when they had 500 million and they went round the whole of Merseyside spunking money up everyone's walls, bringing in players like Klassen and Balassi for ridiculous amounts of money, only for Balassi to leave on a free and Klassen to leave for half what we paid for him 12 months later. £43 million on Sigurdsson, who's had about 15 good games in the blue shirt. It needed to be done then, so it put us a little bit behind. But now, thank God, touch wood and everything, he can attract these players, which are the bigger name, which Everton wouldn't have attracted beforehand. You know, all of a sudden, Everton have gone from being linked with players like Chris Smalling and Marcus Rojo under Marco Silva to being linked with Koulibaly and Skriniar. You know, these are players that Everton 2 years ago wouldn't have even dreamt of really signing. You know, we were linked with Koulibaly about 5 years ago when we first had this money. But why the hell would he have signed for Everton? Whereas now, I'm not saying it's out the equation, and that's only because of Carlo Ancelotti. Now, don't get me wrong. Look, we're still not a top 6 side because we haven't got a top 6 squad. We've got, in my opinion, a top 6 first 11. And then a bottom 4 squad. Over time, that will progress. It will be better. And I trust Carlo to bring in the players. But yeah, we wouldn't have signed Allen. We wouldn't have signed James Rodriguez. And you could possibly say we wouldn't have signed players like Ben Godfrey and that, because other teams needed to. I mean, you needed a centre-back. You went and bought Rodon.
Why would we buy a centre back? Why would we do it when we need a defender? We'll go buy another striker for no reason whatsoever. We don't fill our holes.
That's the trouble.
Don't shout that too loudly, Brian.
I realised where I went with there.
I did it last night. Hollie jumped onto my stream, and I said something like, I can't believe we've smashed you around Goodison all night. And I was like, as if I've just said that.
I love it. I come into the chat and you just cause these like outbursts. It's hilarious.
It sounded horrendous, and I was so sorry because I didn't mean it, but I did say it. But I meant Spurs, not being specific to Hollie, obviously.
I also want to touch on how great Everton's transfer policy has been, because I've been saying for a long time now, the thing that Tottenham do, because of the supreme leader, all praise, is we go, instead of going out and buying diamonds, we go and buy lumps of coal to try and turn them into a diamond and sell them for a bigger profit. Now, that's all we do. And 9 times out of 10, it falls flat on our face. Now, the way I believe it is you've got to bring in the odd diamond in here and there, and then a few lumps of coal. Everton have done it bang on this season. They went and bought the diamond, which was Rodriguez. They went and bought a lump of coal, which they will turn into a diamond. And as I said, Rose, and I said it, Mike, as you went to the door, I think Ben Godfrey is a future England captain. I think he's world class, potentially. I think he is that.
This guy good. Talks sense, Rose, this lad. He talks sense in. Honestly, God. I'll tell you I'll go further than that, Brian. He is going to be one of the best English centre-backs of the last 30 years. I rate him that highly.
Without a doubt. But we have a great scouting network that look at him and go, no. Because we're really clever in that part. But yes, this is what Everton do. Everton buy. We bought 7 in. I think you bought 4 or 5. You bought Decore, established Premier League. Even like Rose said, even in a relegated team, he's shone out. So you know he can handle it. You bought Allen, who Ancelotti knows exactly what he wants from him, and he will do the job. It's brilliant transfer business. I know there's links between, like you were saying, with the red noisy neighbour and the red winning the trophies. That's it. Apart from that, Everton are a superior club to us, and I hate saying it. Right now, they are a superior club.
And to be honest with you, it pains me to say it as well, because I still stand by the fact, because I think this season we've both been up and down. But when you marry the two with our, obviously, Mr. Steve Hitchin with his lovely scouting, when you marry that with the likes of Everton's scouting skills, there is a difference, and there is a big difference, like you said. And I think that's the biggest thing that lets Tottenham down, obviously with Levy as well. But you need to first get the recipe to get these players in. And it's just not going to happen. And there's lots of people saying in the chat that we have dead wood, and that's 100% as well. But I think with Everton, I said this last season, I was like, we have quality. We did have quality, but we didn't have squad depth. This season, I think we've done the reversal, where we've got little quality and too much squad depth. And I feel like Everton have more quality, but not enough squad depth. Mm-hmm. So that being said, Rose, what needs to happen in the summer for Everton to really push on?
Max Aarons, right back, player I've been going on about for about a year and a bit. I think one of my first videos was about him. Max Aarons, right back. I think it'll happen. I think the Godfrey link. I think I don't want to say it's done, but I know that Munich and other teams are looking at him. But I think Max Aarons number one. I still think in terms of going forward, a winger, like we just don't have a lot of pace. And you have the likes of Iwobi and Bernard. They'll have one good game every 10, if that, and it's just not enough. So I think a right back, a winger, and for me, still another midfielder, because the players that we have signed last summer, they have been injured. They've been in and out. So for me, I really like Cantwell. I know that Norwich have just been promoted. I think in some ways that we need to get European football and Ancelotti to entice them still, because don't clip this, but I don't think Norwich are going to finish, in the top 7 next season. So, to have that lure, it's going to be hard now, seeing as they have been promoted. But I think the project that we have, the new stadium, the manager, the players that we have, I think we can lure players from newly promoted teams. So for me, Aarons, a ball-carrying midfielder, somebody like a Cantwell. I liked Grealish as well, but that's just not going to happen now. Like, he's only going to go to like a top elite club in the Premier League. But player in that kind of mould. I haven't really got a name to give you, but one like that.
I feel like you need to come and scout for Tottenham, Rose. I feel like, because I think that's spot on with what you're saying.
Do not, because I made a video on Jota, and the day after he signed for Liverpool, and they did not let me hear the end of it. So
no.
I'm not saying any names.
I just want to add a little bit to that. This is where the name of Carlo Ancelotti was so important, because I think it is fair to say that before Carlo Ancelotti, I think Marcel Brands had actually done a really poor job at Everton. He'd spent a lot of money on a lot of shit. Let's remember the fact that Everton went from a deadline day, exciting, like, oh my God, we're going to have such a great day with Zuma, Decore and Wilfried Zaha, to go in and sign in Iwobi for 35 million. Let me get that balloon and fucking pop that for you. And then on top of that, there's been numerous signings that he made which just didn't work. However, when you've partnered him up with somebody who's got that pull factor, which Marco Silva definitely didn't, he's done good deals. James Rodriguez was free. People don't realise that. They think he was 20 million. He was free. We got him as a free transfer. These deals were absolutely phenomenal. So for Everton, Carlo Ancelotti and a good director of football have really, really worked. And this summer, Rose is absolutely bang on for Everton. Max Aarons, in my mind, is done. Like, I would say it's done. I think it's done. I think it'll be 32 million. I think he'll sign very early before the Euros. He'll come in. So I think that'll happen. I expect Everton to go and get a ball-carrying midfielder. Now, at the minute, Jesse Lingard's at West Ham, absolutely ripping it up, but that is the sort of player that Everton need, that type of ball-carrying midfielder, because Decore can break down play, not a great passer of the ball, to be honest, but he's an absolute engine. He does run up and down, but he's not a great ball carrier. Allen, honestly, breaks everything down. He's our equivalent of Højbjerg, just with more injuries. And then we lack that ball carrier, and also we lack real width, because Richarlison comes inside, and no disrespect, I don't know whether Rose agrees with me here, because this is very divided between Everton fans, but I'm telling you now, I would not be arsed if Richarlison left tomorrow for the amount of money we paid for him. Like, I don't see the attraction with him anymore. And then we haven't got another winger on the right-hand side. So in my opinion, Everton don't just need a right-back, a centre midfielder, and at least one winger. I also think they need a striker, because Calvert-Lewin, when he has not hit the onion bag this season, Everton have been as blunt as a spoon. And I don't mean the pointy ends where you dig into the ice cream. I mean the back end that doesn't do anything. So for me, it's a massive, massive, massive window for Everton Football Club, and hopefully we can push on. However, it's going to be a tough window because I suspect a lot of players are going to be, are going to potentially want moves, and I think a lot of players are going to command decent fees. I know that people have said about the norovirus and all of that, and you see how I didn't say the full word just so it didn't get your video demonetized. You see, I think a lot of people think there's not going to be big money spent. I think there's going to be mega money spent this summer. Mega.
It's an interesting take. That is, because, I don't know how to. This is another thing I wanted to ask you. Obviously, me and Brian have sat through moving homes and going to our new ground. What's both your kind of takes on moving to your new ground? Are you excited for it? Have you seen other clubs in and around the likes of Arsenal and us that are now kind of dipping in form and falling off a cliff, so to speak? Rose, what's your kind of? I'll go to you first, Rose. What's your kind of take on it? Are you excited?
Gosh, if we dip any more, we'll be finishing the bottom half. Really? But there's not really anywhere to go. We're not in Europe now. We might be 12th. Oh, okay. It's just, I only see positive. I love Goodison. Every Everton fan loves Goodison. It's an old-fashioned ground. The atmosphere is amazing. When all the fans are in there. So it will be sad, of course it will. But we've got a few seasons yet. It's needed. We've got 10,000 on the waiting list for the current stadium. So the capacity will be filled, and it just looks amazing. Even fans who love Goodison, probably more than I do, will just be look at that new stadium. It just looks amazing. With Arsenal, and I know people compare it to Arsenal Spurs. Arsenal are at a very different level than what we're at, and I just think
lower than both of us. Hey, up the fucking toughies, up the Spurs. Hey.
But there you are. Yeah, I'll just stop talking that.
Sorry, Rose. I'm sorry. I just love that.
You go for it.
I loved it. Rose just hit the nail firmly on the head. What if Everton move into this stadium? Where can they go backwards? Look, I'm telling you, I've been at Goodison when we've been 1-0 up, 0-0, and there's been absolutely no singing. None. All I've heard is the away fans. I've been at Goodison where the atmosphere has been embarrassing. I actually called it out one game and got absolutely obliterated on YouTube for it. But the facts were, if they're not going to sing, don't have a go at me. For me, the biggest difference between the new stadiums is how close the fans are going to still be to the pitch, because the Everton fans are going to be literally on the legal limit of how close they can get to them players. So it's a little bit closer than you guys in your stadium. It's considerably closer than Arsenal. And let's go further. You could stick a moat around the pitch at West Ham, and it'd be fine. So for me, I don't think it has a negative effect. If anything, it probably pushes Everton along a little bit. However, look, we've not been in this situation. We may well do an Arsenal. We may well do a Spurs. Who fucking knows? The only hope is that we go there. We've got the right manager. We're in Europe then, and we've got the right players, and they can carry us into this new stadium. But look, who really knows the answer?
I just wanted to try and get your take on it. Obviously, with Brian, I know his take on and Levy, and Sue's already said it in the chat. We've kind of traded having an okay team, a good team, shall we speak. We were unbeaten at home, to then just, I don't know what's gone wrong, just falling off a cliff, really.
I'd like to answer Danny. Oh,
Kiriakou.
Yes, Brian. What's your feelings towards Daniel? Right, can I?
So this is a friend of mine who I have a bit of a reputation in the Tottenham Hotspur YouTube community for going absolutely levels above anyone else. I am his number one hater and proud of it. I will wear the badge. I honestly, I'd love to meet him one day just so I could tell him to his face. So the one thing, and it's really scared me now that you've actually said about. I'm really upset that you two both said Max Aarons, because it's a player that I've wanted at Tottenham for 2 years, and one of my very good friends used to work with here in Toronto. He's actually a Norwich fan and from Norwich. He's back in England now, and he waxes lyrical about Max Aarons. We saw what he could do in the Premier League. He's phenomenal. We should have got him. Yeah. We didn't. We got Doherty. There we go again with our great scouting network. And the worrying thing is, if we both go in for him, right now I think he's going to go to Everton because he's got the manager. The team around him are supported. Right now, you just don't know what you're going to get with us. We don't know. Is Mourinho going to be there? Is this new coach going to like him? There's so many ifs, buts and maybes with anything we do this summer, which is our biggest window in our history, in all honesty. And it's more than make or break. There'll be riots if this goes wrong. I think there really will be in the stadiums. There'll be riots.
Yeah, I think we've just all had enough. It's got to this stage where we thought Jose was going to be the answer, going to give us trophies again. Wasn't necessarily backed because he got his third, fourth choice. It's just a never-ending cycle. Now, before we close up, I just want to try and I know you guys are Everton fans, but I just want to see if you can maybe give me your take on our game against Southampton. So, Brian, I come to you first, obviously, because you're the Tottenham fan amongst us. What are you looking forward to, or shall I say, what are you preparing for against Southampton on Wednesday?
I'm hoping Højbjerg rested, Son rest, like all of the main players that are playing well. Do not put them on the pitch. Do not put them on the pitch. Top four is done. This is done. It's now the couple bust. Whilst we were still in the Europa, I said on my show and a load of people, I was like, forget the league. We need to focus on the trophies now. Just rest your players during the league. Obviously, play main players. Southampton, I like the football they play. Danny Ings is always going to score against us. But like I said, I've gone part with the league. I don't care. I've even said if I'll play Alfie Devine. I know Scarlett's injured right now. I'll play all the youth because they will at least give a performance. I don't care about the results in the league now. I just want to see heart. I want to see passion. I want to see them fight for the badge and actually put in a performance. If we had played really, really well against Everton and they're beating us or withdrawn, hands up, that's football. The best team won. But the last 3 games, or ever since the Arsenal game, the football has been atrocious. The commitment and dedication has been pathetic. And that needs to change. And I can never say Spurs are going to lose. I don't have it in my blood to go against them. So I'm going to go for the most boring of boring in this 0-0 draws and just hope everyone just stays fit or doesn't play.
And I think the main worry is obviously Kane. I mean, I don't know whether he's going to be fit or not. But again, it was his glass ankle. I mean, he didn't leave on crutches or anything, so that's a positive sign. But again, just rest him. We need him for City.
So with those kind of injuries, what you got to remember as well, yes, it's brilliant that he did not walk on a crutch or a moon boot. When it's like an ankle injury, it's the next day where you wake up and if it's not elevated, all that. So, I mean, hopefully, but this is the thing, he's still not going to be 100% for the game. He may be fit, but that he could take one tap on the ankle, and that could root. So, yeah, I don't want him anywhere near the pitch. I don't want him anywhere near Southampton if he is fit. Højbjerg, Ndombele, all of those, out, rest, do whatever. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this.
Nor am I, because I'll have to go to work the next day and I'll start singing Southampton songs in my ear all day, and I'm not feeling from that, and I'm not feeling that vibe from year one, so let's put it that way. So, Rose, I'll come to you. What's your kind of take, obviously, for us going into this game? I know it's a bit difficult because obviously you're Everton fans, but if you get into the mind of a Tottenham fan right now, what are you predicting?
We're used to it. We're usually in the mind of Spurs fans. We're the same fucking team, man.
It's a horrible place to be in the mind of a Spurs fan right now, trust me.
I agree with Brian, to be honest. But I think, City today, well, they've lost to Chelsea. So, I think Pep, he can over-rotate. So today they made 8 changes. And I looked at the lineup and I was like, I thought it was just disrespectful to Chelsea, to be honest. So if you look at City, they are beatable. And Chelsea, I watched the first hour of it. They dominated them. They play the full strength team. So I agree with Brian. I think, the trophy thing as well, we can relate to. So the Southampton game, I mean, yeah, play the youth, rest on. Hopefully Kane's fit. Don't play him. And Dembele, like you say, Reguilon as well. I think he had a really poor game against us yesterday, but I still rate him. And so, yeah, like, you know, and then I would just go for broke against Man City. So I know you said the Southampton game. I'd probably rest everybody for that one. But then, you know, yeah, play Bale, play Son, play Kane. Like, just go strong because it's the final. Like, you don't want to try your best at Southampton, get a draw, and then you're all knackered for the City game. So, yeah, just my take.
Man City are going to be pissed now. The quadruple's over. Oh, yeah. Just when you think it can't get any worse.
I know. The stars have aligned once again.
Do you know?
So annoying.
Just to also highlight. So yeah, I think it's going to be a struggle for Spurs, but I think there's a real deep issue, and Everton have got the same issue, by the way. Did anyone hear what Eric Dyer said? You won't remember, Hollie, because you were different planet. But Brian, did you hear what Eric Dyer said last night in his?
You know what? He said so much. He's got the most monotone and boring voice. If ever I can't sleep, I just need to get an audio book of Eric Dyer. Bang. So whatever he said, I was full of rage yesterday. So I blacked it out. But remind me.
He said so. He come out and said that game was a fair result. Now look, a lot of players would say that, wouldn't they? No, a lot of players would say that, wouldn't they? But the worrying undertone of that is basically you lot were happy to go to Goodison Park, a place where you haven't lost in a long time. I think it's a fair few years. Yes, you lost in the Carabao Cup, but again, it was extra time, so it goes down to draw. But he was happy with that result and that performance. He was happy. Now this is a leader in not just your team, but the England team. This is a leader.
Yeah, but this is it. So Eric Dyer's comments just goes to show his vision, both with his eyes and with his feet. They're both pathetic. They're both pathetic.
But the worry is how many of them players would think or say the same thing, and that's the bit that Everton have got as well. Like, this is why we're so similar, is because it's the mentality thing. It's about stepping out of this mentality of being a good side, you know, a competitive side. You know, we under David Moyes at times were the 5th best team in the Premier League. You lot caught up, overtook us, and then you've done it for the last 10 years. You've been better than us consistently. Yeah. Now, both teams are in sort of this weird mindset where they've got these big name managers, and these big name managers are having to tell players who can be quality on their day to actually go and deliver it on a consistent basis and prove their quality without having the correct mindset. If these players don't have the mindset to go to a game, any game, every single game, all 38 games of the season to go and win, I don't know what to say. So,
Mike, we're broken. We are, honestly, and it's from the top. It's from the top down. Now, the thing is as well, if you look at it, this is the Arsenal defeat. I'm just going to comment on the Arsenal defeat where we got battered. We got absolutely ripped apart by Arsenal. So the game after that, I mean, it's not even that. A few games before, we'd won 4-0, 4-1s. We're playing lovely football. We go into that game knowing that Arsenal are hideous at the back, just attack. And what do? We defend. And then after that, Liverpool, Arsenal play West Ham. What did they do? They went for the jugular. Their defence was shit. They scored 3 goals. All right, West Ham weren't that good that it came back to 3-3. But then Liverpool went to Arsenal and Liverpool attacked them. And Liverpool scored 3. And then we came to you, who have been ravaged by injuries, decimated with your best key players. We have Harry Kane, whose goal return against Everton is better than the goal of game at Goodison Park. And we defend. There's nothing. I've never, and like I said, I'm 41 years old, so I've been watching Spurs like religiously since like the 80s. Even during the 90s, at least I knew what my team was doing or the direction. I might not have agreed with everything, but there was some kind of club philosophy, club ethos. There's some kind of the star players you know that are going to deliver. And right now, there's nothing. Harry Kane.
That's it. It's a one-man army, pretty much.
Yep.
But it's strange that we're talking about this parallel again, because with Tottenham, like, I know he's behind me and he's just there for banter now because he's completely gone for me. I want to chuck him off the skywalk because it's just getting to that stage. But Harry Winks, he wants to get into the England squad, and he came out and said that. Then show your passion and worth on the Spurs pitch first. I feel like there's too many players in this team that have bigger egos. The likes of, I know in the documentary, obviously we had Danny Rose, and he did speak his mind. And at the time, I was thinking to myself, how dare you speak your mind in that kind of tone to a manager like that? But it kind of speaks some truth now. But then you also think to yourself, you want a star move to Milan, and that's never going to happen. So I think it's a bad combination. Maybe I don't know necessarily at Everton. I don't know what you guys think on it, but there's too many players at Tottenham that think they're bigger than what they are. I don't know whether that's the same kind of theme at yours.
And I don't mean this as a disrespect to either set of fans, but I think both fans are guilty of that. I'm reading comments from both Everton and Tottenham fans in the chat telling me how good the squads of players are. No, let's face facts. Both squads of players are not good enough for the top six. Doesn't matter whether you support Arsenal or Everton. Everton's squad is horrendous behind the first 11. A few injuries as well. The squad depth just isn't there. I don't think the Spurs 11 is a top 4 squad of players, and I'm really sorry for saying that on the Spurs. I'm not being critical. I just don't. I think I look at the 2 centre backs. They're aging. I look at Eric Dyer. I don't understand how he gets a game. Yes, Reguilon, top player, so can't insult him. Lloris, French quality player. Like, I'm not going to insult him, but he has got a mistake in him, but not as consistent as Pickford. You look on the other side, Doherty. Who do you play at right back? Same issue Everton have got. Midfield, okay, and Ndombele, fantastic, but has he done that enough consistently? I question it. Lo Celso, whoever else you want to throw in. If you take Son and Kane out of that team, are Spurs really better than anyone in the top 8?
No.
And that's the trouble. We've rode this wave for so long. We haven't dished out that deadwood.
We accept it as football fans. We accept it. Everton are exactly the same. You take James Rodriguez out of the Everton side, it doesn't matter who else you play. We have been awful. So
the frustrating thing, though, I think for Spurs fan is the fact that we've had 20 years of ENIC and we've got 1 trophy from it. Yet we've got this amazing stadium, and you're thinking to yourself, imagine if we invested that money to support the likes of Kane and Son. Do you know what I mean? Rather than building this swanky new stadium to get more money to bring in from the NFL, to bring in this, to bring in that, to have concerts. And you're sat there thinking, is that money going to be reinvested into our team? Probably not. And don't get me wrong, maybe I should sit here and accept it. But when I've got a chairman like that has got an amazing business brain, but doesn't necessarily care about the players on the pitch or the football being played on the pitch, well, I don't really know how you're supposed to take from that. But I do get what you're saying. I think us as Spurs fans sometimes sit here and think maybe we have been overachieving. Maybe we have been.
You had a top 4 team. That makes a bang on comment. You had a top 4 side 2 years ago. Absolutely. I actually thought you could have challenged for the title like 3 years ago. I thought you could have challenged for the title. Levy never backed him right at the key time, and that as a result sent you backwards, in my opinion. Same as we went back to Koeman.
If anyone deserved the season, sorry, Rose, go on.
No,
go on, Rose.
Like I agree. Like the 2018 final for you guys, I thought from there, right? Like you've got to the final. Now you're going to back him. Like now's the time for the investment, because you can clearly get there when you had Eriksen and Vertonghen and Son and Kane and all of those. That was a fantastic team. But there was no investment. It was just, oh, well done, Poch. Like that was a good run. See if you could do it again. Like, and maybe we'll sell Eriksen into Milan as well. No, it's just like, I don't know.
And I think that's why I kind of say like Spurs fans are just frustrated, because we knew where we were. Like you've highlighted, the year we should have won it was when Leicester won the Premier League. That's the year we should have won it. And from then is when we should have invested to push on the next year to get over that line. And again, we haven't done it, and now we're falling from grace. And me as a fan, I don't want to accept it, because we should be nowhere where we are now. But sadly, it's the truth. Go on, Brian. You're itching to say something.
Yeah, I have to. I mean, you're bang on right with the Leicester season. Should have strengthened there. because we were second for most of it, and then obviously that bloody Newcastle game, and obviously the banter came that you finished third in a 2-horse race. The season where we should have backed him was the last season in the lane when we finished second. And that's when you had that whole team from 1 to 11. And then you got to remember, Eric Dyer was playing defensive midfielder that season.
Yeah.
And you had Dembele, Wanyama, who we should have had a couple of years before, because Wanyama was absolutely incredible for that one season. And you had Dyer do that. We should have left there. But the guy that said, "Oh, don't worry, the stadium development is there, and then the transfer money is there," the way we back our manager, and Pochettino, if anyone ever deserved a blank checkbook and say, "Off you go, fill your boots. Look what you've done with hardly any signings or hardly any money spent. Go get who you want," and we didn't do it. And how did we celebrate that finishing second and everything? We didn't sign anyone that entire season for a whole season. It's like Arsenal had the record that they only bought Peter Cech, a goalkeeper. They were the only team not to buy an outfield player. Daniel Levy, hold my beer, I can beat this. Let's sign no one let's sign no one for an entire season. How do you recover from that? You meant to strengthen when you're at your strongest. Like Everton are doing now. They've got the manager, they're improving, let's go sign people. When they move to their new stadium, they're going to be in 10 times the better position we were when we moved into ours, because they're doing things the right way. They are.
Yeah, agreed. And it's just, like I said, I try not to get too
finally
fired up.
Finally.
Go.
No, just saying. Finally, it took us 5 years to do it the right way. Let's just, as I say, Everton got money and just spaffed it everywhere. So it took us 5 years to get to this point.
We've got money, but don't do that. We've never done it. You have to tell us how that feels.
Please send us notes. We need it, because, like I say, nothing is going to change, sadly, and until those people at the top have gone. And like I keep saying, yes, we've got a lovely training facility. Yes, we can house all of these different events at the stadium. I just want to watch nice football. And yes, okay, 5 years under Poch was nice football. We didn't win anything, but we've said tonight we had investment in that squad. We're having a different conversation, and it's just an ending cycle. But I want to wrap things up now. I want to say thank you very much to my guests, and I'll go round in a circle kind of way, because, like I said, I'm enjoying these podcasts, but I wouldn't be able to make it as free-flowing as they are if I didn't have amazing guests on. So I'll start with you, Brian. Where can everybody find you doing your stuff?
So, as it says on the name piece I got there, you can find me as well as 3 other people, Brian Ireland, Stelios and Shy, at Tottenham Away. The underscore that's written there is our Twitter handle and our Facebook handle and Instagram handle. But obviously for YouTube, we are just Tottenham Away, no underscore. We just like to have a lot of fun, a lot of banter. And at the moment, that's basically what our club is. So why not? There's no serious talk because we're just a mess. So if you need a Tottenham Hotspur pick me up and to watch my rants regularly, which are like a common theme of me, you'll find us at Tottenham Away.
I love it, and lots of passion for Daniel Levy. I can definitely quote that.
We're gonna have our own. We're gonna have our own rom-com. Me and Daniel Levy, like a Notting Hill or something.
Oh dear! And I'd also like to come to Rose. Rose, where can everybody find your stuff?
Yeah, so I'm EvertonRose on YouTube. I like making videos about Everton and meeting lots of different fans like yourselves. And you can find me on Twitter as well at EvertonRoseYT, and on Instagram is at Everton__Rose. I've typed it in the comments because that's quite a lot of information.
Thank you, Rose. No, it's
so
good.
Thanks for having me on, Holly.
No, honestly, I've been meaning to get you on for so long, but obviously with work and everything, it's all over the place. But I'm glad we finally sat down and done it. And obviously, I want to say, Mike, thank you for coming on. Where can everybody find you?
Yeah, so guys, you'll find me in the Blue Boys Network. Same name everywhere. It's Boys with Z. But guys, more importantly, remember that you two Spurs guys here, really good, consistent content. Giving you podcasts, giving you football content every week. If you're not subscribed to their channel as Spurs fans, you've got to go and subscribe to their channel. Rose is the same. Her content is fantastic. Really good, open footballing point of view. Go over and subscribe to EvertonRose as well. So give yourselves 10 seconds at the end of this to just go and subscribe to all 3 of their channels because it's absolutely magical. For me, guys, thank you for watching. As you can see, I'm very opinionated. Come over to Blue Boys Network. We'll have a laugh and a joke anytime you like. And Hollie, thank you for having me on. Congratulations on smashing 1K. And you thoroughly deserve it. I'm really proud of you because we've been doing this now. We've been speaking on and off now for the best part of 2 years. And to go from 150 odd subs that I remember you on and when we first spoke, all the way to where you are, the progress has been phenomenal. Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. I just wish I could come on here and talk about Tottenham in a nice way, but sadly, you can't have it all, I guess. But I will put everybody's links in the description. Obviously, after last night and me at the Agon Bar, it didn't go down quite well, me trying to organise everything, but I will put everybody's links in the description below. And that leaves me to say one more thing, and that is thank you to everyone in the chat for being around and entertaining us all with your comments and your questions and things. If you're not already, please hit subscribe. And like I said, make sure you go check out these guys too. But until next time, come on, you Spurs.
Please come on.